So Balin finally realized his throne means nothing if he can't hold it, yet he still doesn't bother to send his own men. Well, you picked the wrong side, stranger. It doesn't matter who's king, as long as there's a queen. Ladies first, and I'm no lady. Kill them! More enemies!
It shall be done. I shall do it. As you say. Very well.
Ah! By all the beards of my ancestors! How did you... Where did you come from? You made a hole in my wall! It does? Oh, sod it. If people find out about this, my business will be ruined. They'll think I have something to do with Jarvia. No! I don't have anything to do with them! They're criminals! When they built this part of the city, they must have built over some tunnels. I swear I had no idea. Oh, just leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with this. And if anyone comes asking, I'm gonna tell them you did it!
Orzammar questions Lord Balin's ability to win the throne without Grey Warden assistance. Can he rule without them as well? All be aware that the Grey Wardens have aligned with Lord Balin. Be not afraid to follow suit.
Well, you've simply outdone yourself. They're talking all over the city about how someone finally went through Dusttown and slaughtered the Carta like genlocks. Not yet. Killing Jarvia brought me greater favor. But to truly displace Harrowmont, we'll need something dramatic enough to end the debate forever. What do you know of the Paragon Branca? She is a paragon, a girl of the Smith caste who rose to nobility for her brilliant inventions. 2 years ago, she heard of something the ancients created. It inspired her to leave everything behind and venture into the deep roads. She is the only paragon in 4 generations, and she turned her back on her responsibilities. A paragon is like an ancestor born in this time. If she returned, her vote would outweigh the entire assembly. Anyone with her support could take the throne unchallenged. I hope you will bring her back to endorse me as king. I was hoping you could use your legendary charm to persuade her that the rightful king should take the throne. However, if the deep roads have addled her wits, it might be best she not return before the kingship is decided. She had an entire house with her, dedicated to her protection. With the number of ruins still intact, they could last for a long time. And Harrowmont is looking as well. It's too risky to assume she's dead only to have him take credit for finding her. I did not know her personally. 2 years ago, I was still considered a child, not one to consort with Orzammar's finest. From what I hear, her intellect was unrivaled, but the social graces were beneath the notice of one so gifted. Then we will both go down in history as a Paragon's saviors. So far, my men have traced Branca to Caridin's Cross, an ancient crossroad lost to the Darkspawn 4 centuries ago. Her trail ends there. Perhaps with your Warden's expertise, you can find what my men could not. You must enter the deep roads through the mines. To protect the city, that's the only path we leave open. Caridin's Cross lies many miles deep into the tunnels. It was once a main thoroughfare, but before Branca, no one had stepped foot there in generations. You have my thanks. Seek her in Caridin's Cross. I will try to delay the vote until you return.
News of the hour. Grey Wardens approve of Lord Balin's plans to deal with the Darkspawn threat. Lord Harrowmont, adult, and...
Grey Wardens endorse anarchy in Orzammar. Support Lord Harrowmont and his stand for true Dwarven values.
Stranger, have you seen a Grey Warden hereabouts? I hear tell that he, or was that she, you understand this was several flagons ago, was setting out to search for Branka on the Prince's own orders. Stout and muscular, fair of face, but with a strong jaw and a bold nose, surrounded by a great glowing nimbus. If she's a woman, she might be more slight, but her eyes will shine with the light of purity, and her large but chaste bosom will heave magnificently. I've been looking for hours, but I haven't seen anyone who looks like that. Very frustrating. Well, if you're the best they got, then standards must have fallen way down. But I suppose that would account for a human in Orzammar. Say, could I ask you a favor? Name's Oghren. And if you've ever heard of me before, it's probably all been about how I piss ale and kill little boys who look at me wrong. And that's mostly true. But the part they never say is how I'm the only one still trying to save our only paragon. And if you're looking for Branka, I'm the only one who knows what she was looking for, which might be pretty sodding helpful in finding her. Believe me, I have. But where she was going, it's a lost Tig. No one's seen it in centuries. I searched as far as I could, but it would take teams of warriors searching weeks on end to cover enough ground to hope to find it. Which I assume is exactly what Balin's scouts have done. And they give the fruits of their labor to you. But they haven't found Branka herself, and that means whatever they've got, it's not enough if you don't know what she was looking for. If we pool our knowledge, we stand a chance of finding Branka. Otherwise, good sodding luck. You should know that Branka was looking for the Anvil of the Void. The secret to building golems, which was lost centuries ago. The smith Caradon built it, and with it, Orzammar had 100 years of peace, while it was protected by the golems forged on the anvil. As far as anyone knows, the anvil was built in the old Orton Tig. Branka planned to start looking there, if she could ever find it. All she knew was that it was past Caradon's cross. No one's seen that Tig for 500 years. Why? We were sodding married until she left me and took our whole house into the deep roads on her mad quest for the anvil. It was a stupid move. If I'd been with her, she'd have made it back years ago. But I forgive her. If we're going, let's get moving. Branka's not gonna sodding find herself.
Oh, blast it.
Again.
Even the Templars will be impressed by the power as you will command.
Indeed. Yes? Well, here I am. Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think. I know one, told to me by my mother a long time ago. It always chilled me to the bone. Maybe you have heard of Flemeth? Are you sure? Was she the Flemeth of legend? Flemeth, the devourer of men? Flemeth, mother of witches? Flemeth, demon-touched, who dwells in the mists? Ferelden mothers scare their daughters with talk of Flemeth. They say that if you're bad, Flemeth will spirit you away and bind you to her forever. They also say that Flemeth mourns her lost beauty and will steal yours through your looking glass if she catches you. Flemeth's beauty was known throughout the land. She had hair like unto a moonless night, skin as pale as winter's first snow, and eyes as beautiful and perilous as the sea. When she came of age, she came to the attention of the Lord of Highever, Conabar, and he took her for his wife.
Conobar soon learned that his young bride had the gift of magic. He kept this a secret, for he feared that she would be taken from him. Flemeth stayed with Conobar for some years, and with his blessing, she practiced her art. And then one day, a young poet named Oghren came to the castle. Flemeth was captivated by Oghren's voice, and he by her beauty, and they fell in love. Flemeth longed to be with her true love, and she and Oghren fled from Conobar's lands, seeking refuge in the Kokari wilds with the Chasing tribes. They lived there happily for many a year, till the day Flemeth received news that Conobar was dying and longed to see her face one last time. Flemeth's heart swelled with pity for the man who once was her husband, and begged Oghren to return to Conobar's side with her. But when Flemeth and Oghren entered Highever, they were captured by Conobar's men, and Oghren was slain in front of Flemeth's eyes. Flemeth was imprisoned in the highest tower of the castle, there to await Conobar's judgment on her. Distraught at the loss of her love, Flemeth plotted revenge against her husband. She summoned a fey demon, intending for it to wreak vengeance on Conobar. But a spell went awry. The demon possessed Flemeth. Turning her into an abomination, the halls of the castle ran red with blood as Flemeth slaughtered Conobar and all his men. The last of Flemeth's humanity melted away, and at dawn, she stole back to the wilds to plot and scheme for 100 years. They say she took to her side many Chasing men, and with their help, begat her daughter witches, who even now prowl the dark places of the Kokari wilds. Which one? Andraste was the Maker's chosen. The Maker had long since abandoned the world when the sound of her singing turned his ear. Beauty, grace, and wisdom enraptured him, and he offered to take her from this flawed world to become his divine bride. But Andraste had an earthly husband and would not forsake him. Instead, she beseeched the Maker to return to his people once more. So earnest was her plea that the Maker was moved, and promised that he would create a paradise on earth if all abandoned their false gods and turned once more to him. And this is why Andraste began her exalted march on the idolaters of the Tevinter Imperium. The Maker granted her his powers with which to smite her enemies. Andraste brought the Imperium to its knees, and her victories converted many to the worship of the Maker. Alas, it was the frailties of men that betrayed and killed Andraste. Her earthly husband, Maferath, a chieftain of the Alamari tribes himself, grew jealous as his wife's popularity and influence overshadowed his own. She was also revered as the Maker's betrothed, and Maferath began to see their own bond waning in significance as Andraste became ever more devoted to the Maker. Out of envy and spite, Maferath made a pact with the Archon Hysarian of Tevinter, allowing his beloved Andraste to be ambushed and captured. Andraste was burned at the stake in Minrathous, the capital of Tevinter. I have thought on this too. Did he withdraw his sight from her at that moment? Where were all the powers he bestowed upon her? This question has come to me many times, and I have no answer. Perhaps there was no way for Andraste to return to the Maker but through her death. We will never know for sure. I have heard a little about how the elves gained their freedom from the Tevinter Imperium. When Andraste began her exalted march against the Imperium, the elves joined her cause to fight their masters. The great elven leader, Shatan, born in captivity, rose up to lead his people. He foresaw a future where the elves were free. Shatan was killed when Andraste was betrayed, but the elves continued to fight, eventually breaking free of the Imperium. The elves claimed the Dales in the south and settled there in a land of their own. The elves lived in the Dales for centuries. They resurrected the worship of the elven gods and would allow the building of no chantry. This angered the chantry, and the hostility between the two factions finally broke out in open war. The chantry says the elves struck first, but I do not know whether to believe it. The chantry declared a wholly exalted march against the elves, named for Andraste's similar march against Tevinter. During the exalted march of the Dales, the elven cities were sacked, and the elven state completely dissolved. Some of the elves bitterly accepted their fates and surrendered to human rule, living in the human cities as second-class citizens. But others, still fiercely proud of their heritage, refused to bow to the humans, and instead became homeless wanderers. They were the elves of the Dales, the Dalish.